I think that you just really, there's no words in which you can explain sometimes the way I feel.
A fairy story.
Indeed.
Adonal Foyle rose from humble beginnings in the Caribbean islands of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and became a basketball star at Colgate University. He set an NCAA record for blocked shots in the 1990s. Foyle then had a successful 13-year NBA career and worked with several nonprofit organizations after that. Now he's using his experiences to help fellow athletes avoid the financial pitfalls that leave many in bankruptcy. The book is called Winning the Money Game: Lessons Learned from the Financial Fouls of Pro Athletes. Adonal Foyle, welcome to CBS This Morning. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You were just telling us that this really started as a master's thesis for you in sports psychology.
Yeah, I decided during my MBA career to start my master's in sports psychology, which was unusual, but I thought it was a great opportunity to start thinking about what comes after basketball. And within that thesis, I interviewed 10 retired basketball players, and I started asking them about things that they were worried about during the transition, and many of them coming back to financial distress. So I wanted to really look at that more closely and ask the question, why, after having the opportunity to be graced with so much money, is players having financial distress, and whether or not I was going to experience the same thing when I retired.
Well, what did you find? Because I think people have a very stereotypical idea. Athletes go out and buy cars and big houses and live extravagantly. Is that the cause of most of the bankruptcy issues?
I think it's just part of it, but there's I think if you look at financial issues just in terms of the financial lens, you miss so much. You have to look at it sociologically, you have to look at it psychologically. When a player, choose to bring a child into the world, how they do that has a big impact, and for the next 18 years of their life, and also their financial resources is going to be depleted somewhere along the line. But it's also about how do you bring a child in the world and how do you raise that child properly, rather than also just the financial difficulties that will arise from that.
You write that athletes should think of themselves as small businesses. What do you mean?
Well, if you think of what most small businesses country make, athletes make a lot more money than most small business in this country. And I think if you start thinking yourself as such, you start protecting and insulating yourself. You have to understand that everything you do is going to have repercussion in your financial future. Right. So it's better to prepare for it as a small business does and prepare for the inevitabilities that will happen.
Are most athletes, are they psychologically prepared for the fact that, the 5 to 10 years that they're going to be in the game are going to be by far their highest earning years? No.
I think most of society are not prepared for that either. The New York Times had an article recently talking about people over 50 not being ready to really handle their retirement future. So if you think about it, athletes coming out of that same microcosm of the greater society. So part of the discussion is really understanding it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're going to have most athletes, most NBA players, are 4.7 years for their career. And then what are you going to do for the rest of your life? What are you going to do beyond how much money you make? How are you going to make that money work for the rest of your life, which could be 80, 90, and hopefully 100?
Do you feel like there are lessons for the people who are not athletes who end up buying this book, lessons that can translate into other areas and other people's lives in terms of what they should be thinking? Oh,
absolutely. I think that what I wanted this book to be a way to talk about financial literacy in general. We were not doing a very good job, I think, as parents, because we don't want to bother our kids and let our kids know the financial situation we're in. I remember, part of the conversation I had with my step-parents is that they give me an allowance and they said, okay, at the end of the month, the only thing we expect you to balance your checkbook. And if you didn't, we're going to deduct what you were off in terms of your checkbook. So I went, really paid a lot of attention, wanted to know, wanted to balance my checkbook, wanted to learn. And that is a very small thing, but it had such a big impact on how I think of the world and how I think of finances.
What's the number one thing you want people to take away from this?
Really get involved. I think most of the danger comes for athletes and for people when they don't pay attention. You must get involved, you must audit the people around you, and you must be responsible in terms of the decision you make. You make a lot of money, but you want to keep a lot of it for when your career is over.
So one Ferrari is enough.
One is enough, absolutely.
All right, Adonal Foyle, thanks so much for being with us. And Winning the Money Game is on sale now.